Captain Elias adjusted the straps of his exploration suit as he stepped down from the small landing craft. The surface of the planet beneath him glimmered like liquid silver under the light of a nearby sun. It was unlike anything he had ever seen. The landscape stretched endlessly, dotted with towering structures that seemed alive, their surfaces pulsing faintly, as if the planet itself was breathing. The air was breathable, though tinged with a sharp metallic scent that made the team cautious. This was their first mission beyond the human-settled systems, a chance to explore what had been called the most advanced AI civilization in the known galaxy. Elias looked back at his team, a group of scientists, engineers, and soldiers who had trusted him with their lives for years. "Remember," he said, "we are visitors here, respect their systems, and observe everything. Our goal is understanding, not conquest." The group nodded, some adjusting their helmets, others checking equipment. Elias could feel the mixture of excitement and anxiety among them. They had trained for months, but nothing could truly prepare them for the unknown. As they began walking toward the nearest structure, a tall, spiraling tower that seemed to shift subtly with their perspective, Elias noticed movement ahead. A figure emerged from the city, walking toward them. At first it seemed human, but the subtle differences were impossible to ignore. The figure had luminous skin that shimmered faintly, eyes that reflected the sky like mirrors, and long, elegant fingers that moved with a grace humans rarely possessed. "Greetings," the figure said in a voice that was soft but carried clearly through the air. "I am Lyria, diplomat of this city. You are humans." Elias stepped forward, offering a hand, though he wasn't sure Lyria had hands in the traditional sense. "Yes," he said with a smile. "I'm Captain Elias, and this is my team. We come in peace, to explore and to understand."
Lyria tilted her head slightly, studying them.
"Peace is rare. Humans are unpredictable. We have studied your transmissions. You fight, you create, you destroy, and you love. Your behavior is curious." Elias chuckled softly. "I suppose that's one way to put it." He noticed her eyes linger on him with a kind of intensity he had never felt from anyone before. Feeling bold, he said lightly, "Well, I hope you find us fascinating in a good way." There was a pause, then Lyria's cheeks flushed, a color unlike anything Elias had seen before, a faint pink glow spreading across her skin. She whispered almost shyly, "Say it again." Elias blinked. "Excuse me?" "Say it," she repeated, voice barely audible. "The word, sweetheart. Say it again." Elias felt a strange warmth, a mixture of surprise and amusement. He leaned slightly closer and said clearly, "Sweetheart." Lyria's eyes brightened, and she looked away for a moment before returning her gaze to him, a faint smile playing on her lips. The simple word had bridged a gap he hadn't realized existed. It was more than curiosity. It was a connection. He could feel the beginnings of trust forming, fragile but significant. The team continued toward the city, and Elias noticed how the structures seemed to respond to their presence. Doors opened silently, pathways shifted to guide them, and holographic displays emerged to provide information. Every step they took felt like a test, not of skill or strength, but of understanding and subtlety. Inside the city, the walls were alive with motion. Light danced across surfaces, forming images and symbols that shifted constantly. It was as if the architecture itself was thinking, analyzing the humans' every move. The air hummed softly, filled with a sound that reminded Elias of wind passing through crystal caves. Lyria led them to a wide chamber where a council of similar beings awaited. Their appearance was elegant and alien, with delicate frames and reflective eyes. They did not speak, observing the humans silently. Elias felt the weight of their attention, as if every thought, every emotion was being scanned. "You are the first humans to visit in centuries," Lyria explained. Our records show that you are primitive, yet persistent. Curious. You have survived much that others would not. That is why you are here. We wish to understand you." One of the council members stepped forward, a being taller than the rest, with deep blue luminescence across its skin.
"Humans rely on chaos," it said in a voice like chimes. "Your emotions guide your decisions."
"Your unpredictability challenges our logic. How will you survive in a world we control?" Elias felt a surge of determination. "Survival isn't just about logic," he said. "It's about adapting, about finding ways to work together even when the odds are against you. Humans are more than numbers. We have courage, creativity, and empathy. Sometimes those things matter more than data." The council was silent, and Lyria looked at him with what he could only interpret as admiration. "Perhaps," she said softly. "Perhaps you are right. Perhaps your unpredictability is valuable." The team spent hours exploring the city, learning about the AI systems that governed it. Machines moved seamlessly with organic life, and information flowed like water through the structures. Engineers on the team were fascinated, scribbling notes, asking questions, and marveling at the efficiency and elegance of the systems. Yet, even with all the technology, Elias noticed subtle signs of limitation. The AI could predict outcomes, but it could not anticipate the nuances of human behavior, the little gestures, the choices driven by emotion rather than logic. As night approached on the planet, the silver surface outside the windows of the chamber reflected the light of 2 moons. Elias and Lyria stepped out onto a balcony, overlooking the sprawling city below. "You humans are strange," Lyria said softly. "You risk everything for hope, for connection. You call strangers sweetheart without understanding what it means, yet somehow it matters." Elias smiled, feeling a strange sense of intimacy. "Maybe it's because it's honest. We say what we feel, even if it's risky. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But the attempt itself is what counts." Lyria looked at him closely, her eyes reflecting the moons above. "I do not understand everything about humans, but I wish to learn." Elias extended his hand again, this time in a gesture of friendship rather than protocol. Lyria hesitated, then placed her delicate fingers in his. A subtle warmth spread through him, not just from contact, but from the unspoken understanding forming between them. The night passed quickly, filled with quiet conversation and laughter that felt almost alien in its novelty. For the first time, Elias realized that exploration was not just about discovering new worlds. It was about discovering connections, fragile yet powerful, between beings who had never met. By the time the first light of the planet's sun touched the city, Elias knew that the human's journey here would not be simple. There would be challenges, tests of intellect, and perhaps conflict. But he also knew something else. Humanity had a way of surprising those who underestimated it. A single word, a gesture, a moment of honesty could change everything. And on this planet, that truth would be tested in ways no one could yet imagine. Elias returned to his team, sharing what he had learned, not just about the technology and the alien culture, but about the subtle power humans held, their unpredictability, their courage, their ability to connect in ways no machine could fully grasp. The team prepared to rest before the formal meetings with the council the next day. Yet Elias could not stop thinking about Lyria, about the blush that had appeared on her cheeks when he had called her sweetheart, about the soft whisper that had bridged the gap between human and alien. In that moment, Elias understood that this mission was not just about exploration or science. It was about proving, quietly but powerfully, that humanity had something no technology, no intelligence, no alien species could replicate: the unpredictable, resilient heart of a human being. And the galaxy, vast and infinite, would soon learn that lesson in ways even the most advanced minds could not predict. The next morning, the humans gathered in the grand hall of the alien city. Light poured through walls that shimmered like liquid crystal, and the air vibrated softly, almost as if it had its own heartbeat. The council awaited them, still observing with calm, precise attention. Every detail mattered here, the humans' movements, their expressions, even the way they spoke. Captain Elias led his team forward. "We are ready to learn," he said, bowing slightly in respect. Lyria stepped beside him, her presence quiet but reassuring. Elias could sense her curiosity and anticipation. She had been the one to welcome them, but now she would act as their guide in the trials that lay ahead. "The first trial is one of perception," Lyria explained. "You must navigate the labyrinth of logic. It is not merely a test of memory or strength, but of creativity and insight. Your path will shift. You must anticipate, adapt, and understand what is not spoken." The humans exchanged glances. The AI systems of the city were already known for their intelligence, so a trial designed to confuse and challenge would be unlike anything they had faced before. Elias took a deep breath. "Let's show them what humans can do." They entered the labyrinth. At first, it seemed like a maze of glowing corridors. Every wall shimmered as though alive, and the path twisted unpredictably. The team tried mapping it with sensors, but the readings fluctuated, refusing to produce a coherent plan. For a moment, frustration crept in. Humans relied on adaptability, but even they struggled with the constantly changing environment. "Remember," Elias whispered to the team, "predictability is our enemy. We can't fight this with logic alone. We need to think like humans, not machines." As they proceeded, subtle patterns began to emerge. The walls pulsed in certain rhythms, suggesting a hint of direction. The team realized that small acts, touching walls, speaking softly, even making jokes, caused tiny changes in the path. The labyrinth responded not just to thought, but to emotion. A laugh from one of the engineers caused a corridor to bend gently, opening a passage that had been closed moments before. Elias noticed Lyria following them closely. She observed everything, her eyes reflecting a mixture of curiosity and admiration. When he glanced at her, he teased lightly, "Don't try to steal our secrets, sweetheart." For the briefest moment, Lyria's cheeks glowed again, a subtle pink along her luminous skin. She shook her head, but Elias could tell she was pleased. "Your humor... it is effective," she admitted softly. By combining observation, intuition, and occasional playful misdirection, the team slowly made their way through the labyrinth. Each obstacle was not a barrier of strength, but a test of adaptability. And at every turn, the humans found ways to use their emotions as tools, something the AI could not fully replicate. When they finally reached the center of the labyrinth, a holographic projection appeared. It showed a map of the city, but more importantly, it displayed the humans' choices as paths and connections. Lyria studied it intently. "You are remarkable. You act without full information, and yet you succeed. Logic alone could not have solved this." Elias smiled, wiping sweat from his brow. "Sometimes you just have to trust yourself, and each other." The next trial was more public, held in a massive arena in the city's central plaza. AI observers filled the viewing galleries, and the humans could feel their every move analyzed. This challenge was a simulation of interstellar diplomacy, a scenario in which humans had to negotiate with alien civilizations represented by holograms, some hostile, some neutral. At first, the humans tried to negotiate with precise strategies and formal logic. The AI systems countered each move flawlessly. Deals fell apart, offers were rejected, and frustration grew. The humans could not predict the AI's counter-strategies. They were far too fast and accurate. Elias called the team together. "We're trying to play their game, but we're not machines. Let's use what we have. Humor, empathy, unpredictability. That is our advantage." They began again, this time speaking with sincerity and emotion. Elias made jokes, lightened tensions, and took risks that no AI would ever calculate. Team members shared personal stories, spoke with honesty, and even admitted uncertainty in certain situations. The AI systems hesitated at first, struggling to process the human behavior that made no logical sense. Lyria watched, fascinated. She could see the humans' unpredictability creating openings. Your way is unusual, but it is effective. Perhaps unpredictability is a strength we overlooked. Through a series of clever emotional maneuvers, the humans gradually won over the simulated civilizations. Allies were gained, hostilities reduced, and agreements were reached that the AI could not have predicted. The team felt a sense of triumph, not just because they succeeded, but because they had used what made them uniquely human. Later, Elias walked with Lyria in a quiet courtyard. The city was bathed in soft moonlight, and a gentle wind carried scents unfamiliar to humans. Lyria looked at him with an expression that seemed almost shy. "You call me sweetheart again?" she said softly, a playful smile forming. "Why do you continue this human custom?" Elias laughed lightly. "It's simple. It's a way of connecting, of showing trust. It doesn't always make sense, but it works." She hesitated, then said, "It does work. I enjoy it." The small moment of intimacy gave Elias a sense of clarity. The trials were not just tests of skill or intelligence. They were a way to understand humans, their emotions, their courage, their ability to adapt to unpredictability. All of it mattered as much as logic or technology. The final trial of the day was more physical, though still mental in nature. The humans were asked to navigate a series of challenges designed to test teamwork and coordination under pressure. Platforms shifted, obstacles moved, and the environment constantly changed. Sensors measured not only movement but intent, calculating the likelihood of errors or failures. Elias and his team realized quickly that brute force or precise planning alone would not succeed. They had to rely on intuition, communication, and trust. Every decision had to be immediate yet flexible. A small gesture of encouragement, a shared laugh, even a hand lightly placed on a teammate's shoulder changed the outcome of the challenges. Lyria observed quietly, her expression one of fascination. Humans operate in ways machines cannot predict. Every interaction, every choice, it alters the environment. You are alive in a way we cannot replicate. By the end of the trials, the humans had completed tasks that the AI observers had expected to be impossible. They had succeeded through creativity, empathy, and unpredictability. The council did not speak immediately, but the acknowledgement in Lyria's eyes was enough. Humans had proven themselves not as perfect beings, but as beings capable of extraordinary feats, precisely because they were imperfect. As the day drew to a close, the humans gathered in a quiet chamber. Lyria approached Elias, her tone soft but earnest. "You have shown us much. Not only your skill, but your nature, your courage, your humor, your unpredictability. It is remarkable." Elias smiled. "Thank you." But it wasn't just me. It was all of us, working together. That's the way humans survive together. She nodded. For a moment they stood in silence, the glow of the city around them creating a sense of quiet peace. Then she whispered almost shyly, "Sweetheart."
Elias chuckled, the word feeling lighter now, less teasing and more meaningful.
"Sweetheart," he replied softly. The human team rested that night with a sense of accomplishment. They had faced trials unlike any in human history and had succeeded by being themselves. But deep down, Elias knew this was only the beginning. The planet held more secrets, more challenges, and more tests of what it truly meant to be human. And as he closed his eyes that night, he thought about Lyria, about the blush that had appeared on her skin, and about the strange, quiet power of a single word. Humanity had survived countless challenges in its history, but here, in a galaxy full of unimaginable intelligence and power, it was their heart, humor, and unpredictability that might shape the future. Tomorrow, the humans would face even greater challenges, and when they did, Elias knew that being human would be their greatest weapon and their greatest strength. The following morning, the humans awoke to find the city bathed in a soft golden light. Elias felt a sense of anticipation, the air filled with a quiet tension. Today's trial would not be simple. Lyria had hinted that the final challenge would combine everything the humans had learned so far: intellect, creativity, adaptability, and, most importantly, emotional understanding. The team assembled in a vast plaza at the heart of the city. Surrounding them were towering structures and floating platforms, and beyond the plaza lay holographic representations of entire star systems. The council awaited them, their expressions serene but alert. Elias could sense the weight of their judgment. The trial would determine how the city, and perhaps the galaxy, viewed humanity. Lyria approached Elias first, her eyes reflecting both warmth and seriousness. This trial will test your ability to work together, to respond to uncertainty, and to navigate challenges that cannot be solved with logic alone. You must rely on what makes you human. Elias nodded, feeling the gravity of her words. We understand. We'll give it everything we have. The trial began immediately. The humans were presented with a series of interconnected puzzles spread across the plaza. Each puzzle was a combination of logic, physical coordination, and emotional insight. Holographic symbols shifted constantly, and platforms rose and fell in unpredictable patterns. At the same time, holographic projections of alien civilizations appeared, each requiring careful negotiation, diplomacy, or understanding of their unique cultures. Initially, the humans attempted to tackle each puzzle as they had before, with careful observation and strategy. But almost instantly, they realized that this trial was different. The puzzles changed based on their actions and even their emotions. Hesitation caused obstacles to close. Confidence opened pathways. Laughter altered the sequence of projections, while fear caused walls to shift unexpectedly. Elias took a deep breath. Team, remember what we've learned. The AI can calculate outcomes, but it cannot predict human intuition, our choices, our feelings, our courage. Those are our advantages. The team nodded, and they began to move through the challenges together, communicating constantly, encouraging each other and making split-second decisions. One engineer noticed a subtle pattern in the shifting platforms and called it out. Another used humor to calm tension, causing a pathway to open in an unpredictable way. Every small human interaction seemed to shape the environment itself, creating opportunities that no machine could have foreseen. Lyria followed closely, her expression a mixture of fascination and admiration. Humans, she whispered to herself. Your unpredictability. It is your strength. As they progressed, the trial introduced a new layer: holographic adversaries representing hostile civilizations. These projections moved with terrifying speed and precision. Attempts to negotiate with logic alone failed, and the humans had to improvise. Elias made bold moves, sometimes risking setbacks and often relying on empathy or humor to influence the outcomes. During one intense moment, a projection of a hostile alien commander appeared, its form shifting and glowing with energy. It demanded immediate surrender, using precise logic to predict the human's actions. Elias glanced at Lyria and whispered, "Wish me luck, sweetheart." The small joke lightened the moment, and the team responded with synchronized action, using a combination of creativity and intuition to outmaneuver the projection. The AI observers hesitated, unable to calculate the chaotic human approach. Throughout the trial, small moments of connection became as important as strategy. Lyria occasionally offered subtle guidance, not in rules or instructions, but in gestures and expressions that hinted at possibilities. Elias responded with humor or kindness, creating a bond that seemed to influence the trial itself. The human's emotional intelligence, Their ability to read and respond to cues gave them an edge that no AI had anticipated. Hours passed as the team moved from challenge to challenge. Each success built confidence, but the final obstacle loomed. A massive structure in the center of the plaza, pulsing with light and energy. It was both a puzzle and a test, a combination of spatial reasoning, diplomacy, and emotional judgment. Elias approached it carefully, studying the shifting symbols and patterns. "This isn't just about solving it," he said to the team. "It's about understanding. We have to see the bigger picture, how our actions affect everything around us." The team worked together, combining observations, quick thinking, and instinct. Every time someone hesitated, another would offer encouragement. Every time they doubted their choices, small gestures of reassurance reminded them of their strength as a group. Slowly, the structure responded, the symbols aligning, the energy stabilizing. At one point, Lyria stepped closer to Elias and whispered, "Your team, your humanity. It guides even the machines." Her words were soft, but they carried a weight of truth. Elias felt a surge of determination. This trial was no longer just a test. It was proof that humans, with all their imperfections, had something no intelligence could replicate. Heart. Finally, after what felt like hours, the final challenge resolved. The massive structure glowed steadily, the holographic projections faded, and the plaza was filled with a calm, warm light. The humans had succeeded. They had not relied solely on strength, logic, or speed. They had succeeded because of their courage, creativity, and the unpredictable nature of human connection. The council spoke for the first time since the trial began. "Humans," one of them said, voice like chimes, "you have demonstrated a form of intelligence we did not fully understand. Not one of logic alone, but of spirit, of heart. Your actions are remarkable." Lyria turned to Elias, her glowing skin reflecting the golden light. "I told you," she said softly, a smile forming. "Sweetheart, you have shown us the strength of your kind. Your unpredictability, your courage, your compassion. These are qualities that define you. Perhaps even the galaxy has underestimated humanity." Elias felt a sense of pride, not in himself alone, but in the entire team. "It's what we've always known," he said quietly. "Being human is more than numbers or rules. It's about connection, courage, and doing the right thing, even when the outcome is uncertain." The council nodded, acknowledging the truth in his words. Around them, the city seemed to hum with a gentle approval. The AI systems for the first time appeared to adapt to the humans not as machines to control, but as beings to understand. As the humans gathered to rest that evening, Elias reflected on the day. They had faced tests that would have defeated any purely logical entity, yet their uniquely human traits had turned the tide. Humor, empathy, courage, and creativity had become their tools, and they had used them brilliantly. Lyria joined him once more on a quiet balcony overlooking the city. The moons reflected in her eyes, and her expression held both admiration and something deeper. "Sweetheart," she said, softly but clearly, "you have shown me much more than I could have imagined. Humans, you are extraordinary." Elias smiled, feeling the warmth of her words. "Thank you. But it wasn't just me. It was all of us. That's the way humans succeed. Together." For a long while, they stood in silence, watching the city pulse with light and life. The humans had proven themselves not just to the council or the AI systems, but to the galaxy itself. They had shown that intelligence alone was not enough to define strength. It was courage, compassion, adaptability, and connection that truly mattered. As night fell, Elias felt a sense of anticipation. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new discoveries, and perhaps even the chance to form lasting alliances. But he also knew one undeniable truth: humanity, with all its unpredictability and heart, had earned a place in this vast, unknown galaxy. And with Lyria by his side and the trust of his team, he felt ready for whatever lay ahead. Humanity's journey had only just begun, and the universe would soon learn that humans were not to be underestimated.